Hey, it feels different, right?
Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Fantasy Sports for Season 3. Today I'm going to be getting into some baseball. Obviously, with a week and a half until the MLB trade deadline, I feel like it was only right that I'd go through the top 10 biggest trade pieces I see. I wanted to get into what I think they should be traded for. Not what I think they should be traded for, but why I think they should be traded. And I also want to talk about two potential trades that I think should happen. But with that, I just want to head right into the top 10. I'm going to start from 10 going down. A lot of you probably don't realize this, and the jersey's kind of, not a little great, it's a little low. But I'm wearing a Braves jersey, right? It's a Deion Sanders one. I got it for pretty cheap. It just happened to be really cool. It doesn't look that great, but it's whatever. Thought I'd just put it on for the podcast, but now it just looks like I'm a judge. So whatever. But yeah, let's head into the top 10, starting with number 10. This is rotation pitcher, right-handed, David Robertson out of the New York Mets. I think he's pretty much the biggest, trade chip when it comes to the Mets roster. He has a 2.6 ERA, 1.02 WHIP, and he's honestly one of the best pitchers you could argue when it comes down to closing. He has 12 saves and 15 opportunities. He's filled in for Edwin Diaz, and he's been exceptional. He has over 750 career appearances, which is second among all active pitchers. He's one of those veterans that, at this point in his career, if he were to go to any team, would pretty much boost their odds at having a starting closer or closing a solid closing pitcher. And I just see him being, a late inning experience, wealthy trade candidate for a 2-month rental that you can probably get for pretty cheap. My next pitcher is a left-handed guy out of St. Louis, Jordan Montgomery. He's probably going to be on the move for the second trade deadline before reaching free agency. He has a 3.2 ERA, 96 strikeouts in 103 innings, over 18 starts with the Cardinals. He's been reliable. He's been one of those middle of rotation guys that's gone in. He's played his part. He's been solid. I just don't think at this time he fits the Cardinals, and I think for the better or the worse that he should again go to another winning team. I think last year Cardinals were making a move for him. This year they're not on the same team. They're not the same team, and I think again he'll be moving to a winning team. This is one that for me, it's a hard argue that he should be traded, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to serve a purpose for him to stay there, and that's Cody Bellinger on the Cubs. He wasn't tendered by the Dodgers last offseason. He signed a 1-year, $17.5 million deal with the Cubs, obviously rebuilding his stock, and he did do that. He's hitting 305, 362, 531 with 139 OPS and 13 doubles, 12 homers, 35 RBIs, and 11 steals. He's played exceptional defense in center field. So, I mean, obviously he's jubilized himself, but I think the biggest problem with that is they're going to try to get something from him. And it sucks because I think Cody's fit in on the Cubs. I think the Cubs are a solid team. I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they're good, but I think they're an interesting team. And I think it sucks that Cody Bellinger kind of finally got his legs under him again. And I feel like he is going to be on the move just because of how good he's playing. But with that said, I think any team that does get him will be getting a better player, whether he's a DH or actually on the outfield or playing first base. But I'm really excited to see what he can do and continue to do for the rest of the season. My next pitcher, these are two pitchers I got coming up next, is Shane Bieber and Marcus Stroman, and I want to get a little more into Marcus Stroman. Shane Bieber is pretty clear. I mean, he's a 3.7 ERA. He's a career-low 19.4 strikeout rate. He's not the same overpowering ace that we've been able to see in the past couple seasons, and he's honestly just a major addition for any starting rotation. But I don't think he's the starting rotation guy, which or better yet said, the starting rotation guy for the Cleveland Guardians as he used to be. He's 28 years old. Right now he's injured, and he probably will be shut down for a little. And I think at the end of the day, his stock is probably driven down just because of how he's played this year and the injury and all. But he's still good. He's still able to get out there and put in work when it comes down to it. I think at the end of the day, he's still one of those players where if he can turn it around, he's exceptionally well at getting pitchers to swing and getting pitchers out. So I think it's just something of a matter of what people want to give up for him. If they value him higher, lower, what they really think he's worth. So it's interesting to see. But I think Shane Bieber will be on the move for sure. And then this is one that again. The Cubs, man, they're a weird team. They're not good, they're not bad, but it just seems as though they should be making moves because they're not good enough for these players to be dying on their team, and that's Marcus Stroman. Obviously, he had a 7 ERA and a 1.7 WHIP in his final 3 starts leading up to the All-Star break. Got a lot of people, nervous. He tossed 6 innings of a 3-hit, 1-run game against Boston Red Sox this past Saturday, and a couple more strong starts before the deadline will obviously clear up what people have question marks around. He's a $21 million player option for next year that probably will be declined just because of how he's played. But this is my biggest thing. I think he should be traded to the Jays. I really think the Jays should go out and try to get him. I know they were talking about possibly, reuniting with him. But I think the biggest reason Marcus Stroman needs to be on the Jays is because we need him. We are struggling with pitching, whether that's, Manoah or Berrios. Berrios is a friggin' shot in the blank if he's going to be good or bad. And then everyone else is all right. But it's really only Gosman we have right now, Kevin. And I think Marcus Stroman, for what we can maybe get him for, which I don't think would be much, I think it would maybe be like Witt and like a pick or something for him, and I think that'd be honestly it. And I think that's really worth it at the end of the day. Witt's a good DH or, good rotation guy when it comes to hitting and, playing and, giving Kirk time off. But I really think at the end of the day, I just would rather have a starting pitcher that can go out there and actually serve than a hitter that's, a little bit above average. But Marcus Stroman, trade candidate, very interesting, and I'm excited to see what will happen with him. My next trade candidate is Jaime Candelario from the Washington Nationals. Obviously, young player, younger, 29, in baseball years, is a little old. Took a 1-year, $5 million flyer. The Nationals took on him after he was non-tendered by the Detroit Tigers, and it's been one of the biggest steals in the offseason. His 2.8 WAR trails only Matt Chapman and Jose Ramirez among all third basemen. He's one of 22 players with at least 40 extra base hits on the year, and honestly, when it comes down to it, he's just one of those players that for a $5 million deal, he looks like the best rental back, on the market this offseason or this summer, sorry. And I think one of the biggest things about it is he'll probably be a nice prospect return for the Nationals. I think Nationals will be looking to get rid of him. I think he's having one of those exceptional years that, if they can get someone out of him, why not? He's only a 1-year, $5 million guy. They're going to want to get something out of him. And at this point, the Nationals aren't good enough to, wind up keeping him, or just there's no point. He's hitting 260, 336, 477, and I'm interested to see what he goes for and where he goes, because I think he could be a good bat on any team, whether that be a team that's bad or good. I think they will wind up getting prospects. I think teams can maybe see him as a 3-year piece after this 1-year deal. My next top 4, this is a no-brainer for me. I remember seeing it at the beginning of the year. I think this is Josh Hader. I think his time with the Padres just overspent. I think he's good, but I just don't think at the end of the day he fits there. He's had 22 saves and 25 attempts. He's pitched 36 games. He's a 1 ERA, 1.6 WAR, 13.5 Ks per 9. He signed a 5. He'll be looking to surpass that 5-year, $102 million deal that Edwin Diaz signed with New York Mets offseason. Obviously, the Padres have a lot of guaranteed money on the books, and that payday is not going to be coming from them. Even as a 2-month rental, Hader could bring back a top-tier prospect as a potential missing piece in the late innings for the number of contenders. I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to Josh Hader, he's just one of those players who's just so good that the Padres are unfortunately not going to be able to have him, Fernando, Manny, Bogarts, the long list goes on of players that they're paying for. And Hader, at the end of the day, he's exceptionally well. He's pretty much arguably the best closer in all of, MLB right now, but it's just they're just not going to be able to hold on to him. And I think what they can get back for him instead of holding on to him is more important just because of the way they've been playing this year. I don't think they've been playing like they should be, and I think, wasting another year with a guy that, they could get something for and potentially make a run in it next year would be extremely important. My next piece is Lucas Giolito for the Chicago White Sox. He's probably the best player to be a trade to be locked just before the deadline. Obviously, he's had a down years by his standards last season when he finished with a 4.9 ERA in 161 innings. He's returned to the better player that he was, which is 2.45 ERA and .182 batting average in 44 innings. I think at any point, anyone trading for Lucas with the only age of 29, whether they can get him again, the year following, he's one of those pitchers that'll just keep you solid and keep you happy when it comes to a starting guy. And I think, with the way he's playing exceptionally, the White Sox team that's been struggling with pitching, with Dylan, with him, and with whatever his name is, the big guy. I feel like it's just, time to, start moving on. Another pitcher that unfortunately is going to have to go for the Padres is Blake Snell. He's old. Obviously, if they're going to decide to sell, I think Blake Snell is going to be at the top of a lot of contenders to sell. Honestly, for the better, part of 2 months, he's been the better arguable pitcher. I mean, you could argue he's one of the best pitchers in the baseball. Over his last 10 starts, he has a .62 RA, 91 strikeouts in 58 innings, and he's only allowed a 156 batting average with 458 OPS to opposing hitters. He's not allowed more than 2 runs during that stretch, and he picked up right where he left off, coming off the break with 5 shutout innings against the Phillies, where they even still lost the game, which was just absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, they already have Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. It just sucks because I always say this, and I don't get it. I feel like I don't get credit for it enough. I mean, I don't get how you can be the Padres and you have Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis, and Juan Soto in a 4-man batting lineup, and then you have Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, and Joe Musgrove with friggin' Josh Hader closing you out, and you're not over 600. I mean those 8 alone on a team should win you, a handful of games. Those 8 alone should win you at least 50 games just by themselves. You know what I mean? Like just off of single person performances. But it's insane to see that the fact that they're just going to wind up honestly blowing it all up. Just how it's going to have to go. At the end of the day, it's just the team's not good enough. I mean, he's 6-7 in his starts, and he has a 2 ERA. I mean, what do you want him to do out there when he's throwing out 140 strikeouts in 103 inning pitch with a 2 ERA, and he has more losses than wins because they can't get the bats going? And then number 1 on that list has to be Shohei. I mean, he's pretty much the best player in baseball right now. When you really dial it up to what it's worth, I mean, I want to see what he's going for. I want to see what people value him as. Obviously, pretty much I'd give out anything to get Shohei on my team, but I'm very interested to see what the trade offers are going to look like. Whether it's a rental or whether it's even like, he's going to wind up going there for, signing a big contract. I think he's worth it. I really do. I think he's one of the best players that we're going to ever see in baseball. I mean, the Angels are 5-14 in their last 20 almost, and it's just embarrassing that he's on that team still. So if I'm the Angels, I'm taking any and every call for him. With that being said, I think my top 10 is pretty solid. I think that's pretty much what you would see from anyone, whether that's in the same order or not. Those are just the players that I feel like have to be on the move, and if they stay, they stay. But it doesn't seem like they're going to stay for a reason that would only be like, I didn't want to trade. I feel like that'd be the only exception way that these guys don't get moved. But I'm excited. I'm excited in the next week to see what happens. I hope the Blue Jays make some move. I really need some pitching coming out of them. It's embarrassing what we've been doing. But I'm interested, and I hope you guys are excited for it as much as I am, because I'm super excited. Let me know what you guys thought about my list, and as always, tune in next week on Wednesday. Thank you.